好吃麻辣，
好吃哪辆？
好吃哪辆？我说的对吗？
你说的对，好吃。
Hola amigos， 那我们一起说，1、2、3，Hola amigos， 好不好？好，准备好了吗？好，1、2、3，Hola amigos。好，非常感谢你们，太棒了！
你太老了。
So the guy that put this whole thing together did so about 2,200 years ago. And he was a pretty influential guy. As a matter of fact, he was very, very influential with regards to Chinese history. When he was emperor, China was sort of split into 7 districts, 7 separate spaces. What he did is he unified all 7 together. And in unifying them, he was able to kind of also do things that would spread across all of the provinces, which, for example, was like weights and measures, like kilograms, and how things are standardized. Because the whole country was unified as one, he was able to spread that equally. Now, his mausoleum, the same like mound that we saw in the last episode, is not here. He's not buried here. His mausoleum is about like 2.5 kilometers away from here. This was sort of hidden from history for a long time until it was discovered by a lowly farmer digging for water. And oh boy, what did he discover? What do you think of this?
It's pretty impressive, isn't it?
Right?
It really is, yeah.
I mean, this is no joke, and this is just one of the pits,
yeah.
you know? So some of the cool things right here, back here, is the well. This is where the farmer was digging, and actually came upon this whole amazing monstrosity. Now, if he was digging just 1 meter farther this way, he would have completely missed this whole complex, and it might still be hidden to date. Now, there's also an area back here that's sort of like a pit, and it's got solid sides, and it looks very alien in this place. It looks like it's not supposed to be here, because this place used to be farmland, and people used to die, and they used to dig tombs and put people in the ground, just like, you know, we do today, not so long ago. And so somebody dug a pit there, excavated the whole area out, created a tomb for their family, friend, and then buried him there. And he buried his friend or family in a situation where he was surrounded by one of the most amazing armies in the world. So, kind of an interesting thought, right? So this emperor, who was the man who unified China with some of the most interesting finances and leadership skills in order to build this amazing, truly unique army made out of stone with sweat and labor from hundreds, if not thousands of people, all working together to create this amazing place. And who is residing within it? A local farmer. I mean, and if you look at these characters, each one is different. Every single one has a different feeling, a different artist, a lot of them. They have different hats, different hairstyles, different facial expressions. The emperor wanted each one of these terracotta warriors to be unique, special, because they were going to be the ones that were going to take care of him and be his buddies in the great beyond. In a lot of cases, you have situations where there's horses, there's chariots, there's archers, there's soldiers, there's generals, and then there's the pawns, the ordinary military cohorts that you'd have in any sort of army. The horses were particularly important because in the afterlife, he needed really good quality horses and steeds to take him and inspect his land after he was dead. He was under the assumption that even in the afterlife, he was going to be taking care of his country. He was going to be, leading from the great beyond. This pit right here is interesting because underneath it lies the terracotta soldiers. And they know what's underneath it because they've used sonic imaging to to read what's beneath the surface. They know it's there, but they're a bit afraid to exhume everything. Because in a lot of cases, these were extremely beautiful and ornately decorated. We'll see it in the museum later where they have pictures and representations of what it used to look like. And once the oxygen is reaching the stone, it starts to become bland and sort of bleached. So they're keeping some of these sections buried because they want to make sure that when they do exhume them, they have the technology to preserve them in a way that might be able to retain some of that. Because right now, a lot of that unique texture and unique color is lost almost immediately. I mean, the atmosphere that we live in is very harsh to such delicate artistry as has been buried for such a long time. You know, it's a little bit sad that this whole area has been covered up and hidden for so long until just 1973. But it's also sort of like a blessing in disguise because people didn't like to have this here, especially the people right after he was buried and he died, because it was sort of a symbol of his power. And so emperors that are subsequent to him actually did try to come here and like destroy this place. But over time, history sort of covered it up and it sort of disappeared from the face of time, basically. And almost it was a welcome thing because it preserved it so that when we were ready to experience it and preserve it, it came out, and now we're actually taking efforts to keep it the way it was. But probably if it came out in the period of time after the death of the emperor and it was completely discovered at that period of time, it would have probably been completely destroyed and leveled, and we would certainly not be seeing what we see today. So it's kind of